Evening at 6 o'clock at Common Council meeting, City of Marshfield, Tuesday, June 24th. Call to order, roll call. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C, identify possible conflicts of interest. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest for the packet this evening? Alderman O'Reilly?
Yes, I do have a potential conflict of interest for one of the closed session items, so I'll be stepping out for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none more, we are going to be taking out item N from the agenda. Item D, public hearing, 2025 asphalt paving program. There will be a segment of the Common Council meeting in which the public will be allowed to address the council in order to ensure that everyone will have an equal opportunity to speak. The rules will apply as follows. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. You must sign up before the council meeting if you wish to speak. Upon recognition, step up to the podium. Begin your comment by first stating your name and address. Be respectful in your comments. First to the podium is Janet Sepik. Janet, if you'd like to go up to the podium. Right up. Yeah. Yep, and then there's a little button on the right-hand side. Mike will help you with that.
The mic is on.
It's on? Yep. Okay, my question is...
Okay, you bring that down and state your name and address, please.
Oh.
Thank you.
Janet Sypek, 1704 North Hume Avenue. Okay, my question is Hume isn't being worked on. Heidi is and Marcy is. I live in a duplex. None of my property is getting worked on, but I got a possible billing for it. And I asked the engineer and he said because they didn't know how to bill it because it was a duplex. However, he owns that half, I own my half. Why would I be paying for work that's not going to be done on my property?
Okay, thank you for your question. And how do we address that?
Address it during the conversation when the resolution comes up.
Okay,
yes?
Perfect.
Say what happened?
Well, ultimately, later in the agenda, there'll be a resolution to approve the special assessments, and that'll be when this body will take that into advisement, and they'll be voting on that. At that point, theoretically, there'll be some discussion, and it can weigh what you brought up.
Okay, is there something I can do to get my point across? Are there papers I can hand in, somebody I can address on a personal level about this then?
It is later in the agenda. I mean, I suppose it could be postponed for 2 weeks. That's always possible.
That would be
correct.
So just to explain, because of open meetings, nobody on this body can actually respond to your question.
Okay.
I know it seems odd, but there's just the rules with that work. That's the reason why you're asking a question and it's somewhat frustrating that nobody's responding. But that's it. By law, nobody on this body can actually answer your question because it wasn't noticed up as part of the meeting, which is required. So the options in regard to that are later on, this item is going to be on the agenda and it could come up for a respond to your question. Formally, the way that is done is that if it raises a question, it could be put on a future agenda to talk about. Of course, with this, there may be some action, and it is discussed that there's a possibility they postpone the action based on the question. That's the explanation. Nobody's trying to be harsh with you. It's just the rules, and actually, I'm very proud of everybody because I know everyone so wants to do that and wants to be kind to you, but they can't, and they can't because I told them they can't, and because it's against the law.
Yeah, well, there you go. But this is the city attorney, just to let you know, okay?
That means nothing, right?
Are you looking to give us something now?
No, that's
Oh, okay.
I just needed
I thought you were
to
gonna.
try and build something that can be done in my car.
Yeah, I just thought you were about to hand us something. If it is postponed tonight, then I think it's prudent for you to talk to the engineering staff here, if you haven't already, and share with them that what your concerns are before the next meeting, if that happens.
Okay.
Thank you. Second, Arlen Huff.
No, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no others, we will move on. Public hearing is now open. And comments on public hearing, we've heard a comment. Public hearing is now open for a second. Any other public comments? Public comments are now open for a third time. Hearing any public comment? Public comment? Public hearing is now closed. Item E, public comment period correspondence. At this time, I will recognize persons in attendance wishing to address the council. Upon recognition by me, persons may address the council first stating their name and address. Comments will be limited to no more than 5 minutes, and persons are asked to be respectful when addressing the council. No action will be taken regarding items not on the agenda. However, the council will take comments from the public under advisement. Please note that council members will not respond to your comments or questions. Bill Panker, please.
Good evening. Bill Penker, 600 Sycamore Avenue. The Marshfield News Herald on June 16th published an article titled "Marshfield Residents Get First Look at Redevelopment Concept for Weinbrenner Shoe Company." The article referenced an early concept for redeveloping the city-owned shoe factory building. Since the concept, as referenced by the reporter, is initial and early, questions need to be asked before the final stage is reached. I pose the following. The reporter noted, the city will also likely transfer ownership of the property at low to no cost. Given the financial state of the city, is this prudent? Is it prudent to be paying for other pre-development costs? And at what point are the low to no cost transfer, as well as fees assumed by the city, returned to the city through property taxes? How will the project, as currently outlined, fit into the city's yet-to-be-developed strategic plan? How does the initial concept fit into the recommendations in the Economic Development Action Plan, which was completed for the city by the firm Redevelopment Resources? Does the initial concept fit into the development strategies of the Downtown Master Plan, as noted in goal number 5 and in strategies 3 and 7? And does the entire project add to or subtract from the housing goals stated on pages 6, 7, and 14 of the 2021 Downtown Marshfield Strategic Plan, which was commissioned by Main Street Marshfield? The housing section of the comprehensive plan, which is section 4, was due for review and amendment in 2024. Does the initial concept fit any updates and amendments to that section? And does the concept meet the intent of the activities associated with developing the 2nd Street corridor? What is the anticipated impact on the Central Neighborhood West? And last, if the public finds the final concept, as well as the potential likely transfer of ownership at low to no cost, unacceptable, what do you do? In closing, there are many questions to be asked. This is not a project with one dimension. It is a project with multiple dimensions. And I hope others come forward with probing questions so we can have the best redevelopment of that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comment? Are there any other citizen comments? A third time, any other citizen comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to item F, approval of minutes, June 10th, 2025. I have a motion by Alderman Dellis, second by Alderman Tompkins. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you. Staff updates. Items for future agendas, Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you. Well, you may recall there were 5 items raised for future agendas at the end of the meeting on June 10th. I have reports on some of them right now. And at first, I'd like to call up Jody Grink, our Police Chief, he'll be giving a report on one of the issues that was raised at that time.
Okay, good evening. At the last council meeting, Alderman O'Reilly requested some information about what the police department is doing regarding immigration laws. I think it's a fair question. I think that our citizens are seeing things handled differently in media than maybe they're seeing out their front windows. So I'd like to just explain what our police department is doing and why. First of all, local police officers and sheriff's deputies do not have authority to enforce federal immigration laws. We cooperate with federal agencies when requested or required by law to do so. This usually takes form in detaining someone to allow for ICE to come and apprehend them. Our encounters with undocumented people have stemmed from other investigations. We were there handling something else and came across them. Essentially, in the police department, we're operating just like we always have. We will arrest somebody if we've got probable cause and jurisdiction to do so. If they're transported to jail, then the jail will contact ICE to notify them that the person is in custody, and then they will decide whether or not a detainer will be placed on them. If they decide to put a detainer, or basically that's like a warrant, on somebody, then they've got to pick them up within 48 hours. So there are times our officers run into somebody and they already have a detainer on them. In that case, we would call ICE to see if they want us to take them into custody based just on the immigration law. If we have other reasons to take them in custody, we may take them in custody on those reasons. They don't always request us to take them in custody if there's a detainer. Finally, ICE is very helpful with helping us to identify some of the people that we deal with. It can be very difficult, and so we want to take all the steps we can to ensure we're not releasing a known violent offender. So ICE will help us to determine the person that we're talking to, whether or not they're taken into custody. So basically, that's what we're doing in a nutshell. So I just thought I would share that with you.
Thank you. Any other staff updates?
Yes, I have two others. At the last meeting, a citizen came to the podium under public comment and raised concerns regarding the airport terminal building, that old structure down there on 29th that's been vandalized more than a couple of times and is in disrepair. And it was asking if something can't be done to expedite the raising of that structure. Staff has had some conversations. That is in the 2028 capital improvement plan to be demolished, but in conversations we found out there's an opportunity. The street division would be interested in perhaps raising it themselves. They could do it over the winter. And in the meantime, the police department and the fire department are very interested in using that facility for training purposes sometime this fall and doing some exercises that would be beneficial to public safety. So I want to thank that citizen for coming forward and bringing it to light a little bit. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now. There's no definitive plan right now, but training exercises by public safety followed by being raised by our own staff is looking like a real possibility in the next 6 to 9 months. So that's a good outcome. And then the other thing I want to bring up, Councilmember Dells had mentioned whether or not a bid district could be dissolved and how that would work. And I've got on your table tonight, you'll see the state statute 66.1109 that talks about bid districts, gives a little information on how they work. And they can both be dissolved either by action of a certain percentage of the members of the bid, the property owners in the business improvement district, or by action of the council. Nothing's being requested at this time. Just wanted to make you aware of how that could work. There was a meeting the other day with the bid, and they've been talking about some things. So this is just to let you know what the answer to the question was that was raised 2 weeks ago. There were 2 other items mentioned that are items for future agendas, and I don't have reports today, but I expect to at the July 8th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mayor's comments. I have some exciting news this evening. First off, the State of Wisconsin Examining Board of Architects, landscape architects, professional engineers, designers, professional land surveyors, and registered interior designers hereby certifies that Patrick David Kilty was granted a license to practice as a designer of engineering systems through the electrical. This does not get awarded to just anybody. You have to go through a process to make this happen. So I just wanted again to congratulate Pat on this prestigious award, which he doesn't call it an award, but I believe that it is, because it comes around every 6 months and you have to reapply for it. And you have to have all the good stuff to make this happen. So if you see Pat, please congratulate him, because this is a huge deal. One more step for the great folks that work at the city. number 2, Nick Cum received the Sue Kelly Community Service Award on behalf of Marshfield Utilities for their 2024 Community Care Project, American Public Power Association National Convention. This is the award that I wrote a letter in recommendation for the Marshfield Utilities to submit with their application. And obviously they received it. So congratulations to Nick and all of the Marshfield Utilities folks. If you want to go out online and check out what they've all done in 2024, it'll take you quite a long time. The things they did were just absolutely fantastic. Work and play. At the Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin Annual Conference, Marshfield Utilities was granted the Gold Level Safety Excellence Award. And last but not least, our water management, John Richmond, received the Fuller Award from American Water Works Association. This is an award to those for distinguished service to the water supply industry for sound engineering skill, diplomatic talent, and constructive leadership. John has received many different awards, and this is just one more of his accolades. Again, congratulations to all of you and your outstanding work and play. Item I, council comments. Alderman Tompkins.
This past week, in one of our parks, we had a groundbreaking for a new playground. 20 years ago, citizens got together and built this wonderful, whimsical wooden playground in Greasy Park. But it's rotted and it's just needs a new life. And so Leadership Marshfield, 4 of those people have been working so hard to raise money for this new playground, and just blowing everyone's mind and the amount of money that they've just, all of them work full time, and this is like a part-time job. So anyhow, on August 12th, they are having a fair picnic down there at Greasy Park to continue to raise money, because the more money they raise, the more shade structures and the more poured-in-place rubber they will have, which is good for strollers, wheelchairs, walkers, but it's very expensive. So they're looking for volunteers, and it's right before the council meeting. So if anyone wants to volunteer, you can go to their Facebook site. I think it's called Greasy Park Renovation is their Facebook site.
Thank you. Any other council member would like to make a comment? Seeing none, city administrators update.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first thing I want to announce is as we get to the consent agenda, I would request that item L11B be pulled from that consent agenda. That has to do with the Historic Preservation Commission looking for funding as a matching amount for a grant application. It's been brought to my attention that the Visit Marshfield Board has voted in favor of providing those matching funds, so the money is no longer needed from the city, and we thank Visit Marshfield for that contribution. A couple of other things. First of all, speaking of Visit Marshfield, we're looking to try and schedule a meeting between the Visit Marshfield Board and the council, a special meeting between the two bodies. I think I've mentioned before that we are in the final year of a contract with Visit Marshfield. It's called the Tourism Entity Agreement. We thought it would be worthwhile to get the two bodies together to talk about any issues or concerns that need to be addressed prior to a decision on how to move forward there. And the 2 dates in talking with the executive director, Matt McLean, that we've talked about are maybe Wednesday the 9th of July or Wednesday the 16th. Either one of those would be at 5:30, expected to last about an hour. I'm not looking for you to weigh in right now, but I will send an email right after this, and I would ask that you reply specifically to me and me alone as to whether one or both of those dates work for you for a special 1-hour meeting. That would be Wednesday the 9th or Wednesday the 16th of July for a joint meeting. Along the same lines, we're still trying to schedule strategic planning meetings. Talking with the consultant, his preference would be, as we get into the beginning of fall, that the first 2 meetings be 6 hours. I know there's been some question about how that would be done. So looking at Saturdays when we get out of summer, hoping that'll be easier for some people. Look for me to send out another email on that as we work toward that important project. And then finally, I just want to note that some success. We got a note that we got, and I put it on your table tonight, that we came in 3rd out of 11 proposals for a stormwater planning grant that we applied for. That's great news. And so we're likely to get the funding. There's still some things to be worked through from a paperwork standpoint, but it looks like we're going to get the money to do that project. And we're thankful for the state funding on that. So you'll hear more as we go down the road. That's all I have.
Thank you, Administrator Barg. Item K, reports from commissions, boards, and committees. Seeing none, consent agenda, meeting minutes, and reports. Motion by Alderman Tompkins, second by Alderman Fire. Any questions, comments?
Just making sure, that does that motion include taking out 11B?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
See no questions, comments, please vote.
Mr. Werman
Yes.
and Mr. Rigel.
That motion passes. Thank you. And we can skip over item M because there's no action to be removed as we remove that item previous. Item O, request to approve resolution number 2025-16, special assessments for the 2025 asphalt paving programs presented by Steve Barg.
Yeah. I should have said that before the meeting, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I got it.
Josh is away at training and he is not here, but I'm taking the item. It's resolution 2025-16. This goes back to the public hearing we just held at the beginning of the meeting for 19 street projects and the special assessments that would be charged to the benefiting property owners along those roadways. Just to note, if you look at the whereas paragraph at the beginning, the work includes asphalt paving, asphalt driveway entrances, driveway culverts, sanitary sewer laterals, storm sewer laterals, water service laterals, curb boxes, under drain, those types of improvements along these streets. So the recommendation would be council approval of resolution 2025-16.
I have a motion on the floor by Alderman Dellis. Second by Alderman Tompkins. Any discussion? Alderman Rigel.
I mean, I guess I'll bring that up in response to the comment that was made earlier today. If it's accurate as it was portrayed, is that something we should look at as far as the invoicing of a property that's not getting any benefit from the asphalt paving? And I guess follow up to that, is that something we have to decide today, or can that be discussed or addressed down the line without holding up the program?
Okay, I'm just asking the city clerk about the time sensitivity of this, and it sounds like there is some. So I'm not sure how we resolve the issue. Normally, we have these kind of conversations at staff level. That doesn't have to be. I mean, this individual brought it up at the public hearing, and that's great. So I'm not really sure what the best way to address it is if we need to do this before July 8th. Oh, yeah, please do.
One thing that does happen, this is the preliminary. So this is so that we can get the groundwork going and we can get started on the projects. Later on, we'll come back with the final resolution with the final billing for each property owner. So that will allow time for engineering to look at each individual parcel once again to determine exactly the scope of work that was finished on each individual property and parcel. And then they work with my office on that final billing. So this resolution does lay down the groundwork that these projects are happening this summer, that property owners impacted will be billed next summer for these projects that are being done this year. But again, there will be another resolution and lots of time for engineering to work with individual property owners along the way.
And therefore, if the resolution is passed, what I would encourage you to do, and we can talk about this afterwards, is to connect with our engineering staff, show them where you are, what your concern is about being billed for work that you don't think you ought to be, and at least try to talk that through and see where that goes.
Alderman O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess that kind of leads into the question that I had is, would it be appropriate to amend this based on decisions that may result after this? I mean, approving this now, will that lock them into anything? I just want to make sure that we leave them an avenue to have this discussion.
Right, even after the final resolution is passed on properties, we do still sometimes find errors in the billing. So those corrections are still made afterwards. Again, it's just relaying that there's very likely that there might be a charge, but again, they'll individually be reviewed again. So for example, we did have a property owner that had some mismeasurement done last year. So once they got the bill, things seemed off. They came back in, they worked with our engineering department. We made accommodations and adjusted correctly. So this is not lock in any one person right now.
Thank you.
Alderman Spiros.
This is just more a question. How does the preliminary bills, like this lady received, how is that determined and who does it go out to? Just everybody on the street? Or how did she get a bill in advance? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's to let people know what they would expect to pay if this all goes through and is approved. It depends on benefit to a property, and there's different things depending upon whether you're a corner lot and what work is being done in that particular roadway, how much of that are you billed for compared to what the city absorbs? It's hard to say parcel by parcel without looking at it. How much somebody would be expected to
No,
pay
I
for.
just meant in general. I wasn't meaning
Oh, okay.
each parcel. I
Okay.
just was wondering what the general way that you went about figuring who got those.
And Tim, would you be willing to address? Thank you.
Tim Cassidy, city engineer. We look at the limits of the project and we try to cover enough property so that if the limits change slightly, that we still have people are notifying them. So hopefully the limits cover everybody in the project and we don't have to come back and issue more notices after the project is built. So the area, the properties that we are notifying now, we're hoping we're covering a big enough area that will cover what we feel are going to be the limits of the project, and hopefully that's what will get built. So it's estimate at this point until the street department goes in. If we find there's problems and we have to go back and replace a sewer and, then the project could grow, but it's our best guess from estimating.
And perhaps the two of you could connect and if you could get your number and follow up with you afterwards, tomorrow or thereafter.
Alderman Dellis?
Actually, my question is for the engineer, if you don't mind. Thank you. I know when you redid 17th Street, they had a meeting for everybody that lived on that was affected shortly after the billing went out. Do you plan to do that for the other street?
We still plan to have a meeting. We're a little behind schedule this year, but we do plan to have a public information meeting yet for all of our projects with the street department.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the council? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item P, request to approve one-year extension of contract for property assessment services with forward appraisal through June 30th of 2026, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, the city's been with Forward Appraisal now for several years, and Steve Shepro and his team have done a marvelous job, outstanding work, including a couple of years ago when we went through the revaluation. Those are always tricky and bring some bumps in the road, and yet they handle it exceptionally well. They provide quality services to our residents. They make time to meet with staff and property owners to try and resolve concerns. The proposed renewal for 1 year would remain at $84,000, which is the price we've been paying this past 12-month period. And staff would recommend approval of the attached contract with Forward Appraisal for another year.
We have a motion by Alderman Varsho, second by Alderman Giles. Alderman Tompkins?
Are we limited at all with the 25,000 needing to go out to RFP in this scenario?
We're not obligated to do RFPs on any particular schedule. We've gone out for proposals on assessment contracts, 2 or 3 times in the time I've been here, maybe more than that, I don't know, but we decided to bring forward this renewal at the same rate.
But I remember when we were doing Cedar Core and SHC, we were doing it every 3 months because otherwise we would have hit the $25,000 cap.
This is true. And we realized that by doing that, we were effectively violating, if you will, what it would be for 1 year to pay those companies. I guess I turn to the city attorney. This is something we've done historically in the past. We haven't bid it out every time. But since it's a 1 year agreement, we certainly could have done it again.
So it is a policy. It's your policy for procurement, and although we are working on a division of that policy, and I'm not sure how that would affect this particular issue, but frankly, you're at a position, if somebody felt like you wanted to say, we should go and do that, you certainly have the ability to send it back. I think it is clear, actually, you probably are over what that limit is, so this is sort of an exception to that policy. And that would be an option for you to do. So I think it would be a matter for discussion here, and it could certainly be said to go back back and do that. We've had a number of these come up in the last year where, you know, an exception was made for that particular policy for various reasons. But I mean, based on what you said, I think that's true. You've got a policy in place, and this probably would have meant that you sent it out for request for proposals. Certain types of services like that, though, it's very common for you not to do that. I mean, it's not the setting.
It's true. What the Board of Public Works has seen, I think, in recent months has been a request as part of the action item to waive the procurement policy and to authorize the purchase of whatever item it is. And I guess effectively that's what I'm saying, given the service and the fact we have bid it out only a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's the purview of the council.
Is that all, Natasha?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes, I just want to make sure. Yes. Alderman Werman? I just want to make sure that Alderman Tompkins was finished. Yes.
No worries, thank you. So I guess my question would be, is there a reason that we wouldn't bid this out? Because to your point, Steve, about Public Works, I do want to say that we did also exercise caution in making those votes to say that this is very much an exception. We did not want it to be the norm. So we did call it out as like we were essentially asking for an exception to the policy when we did. But also, it looks like we have been working with this team over the last 4 years. This would make it 5 years in a row. I guess at that point then of working with the same team, is there any reason that we wouldn't look at rebidding this out? I mean, just for the sake of discussion, right? I think, you know, we have to hit a certain limit where it would be like, okay, are we shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit by not just looking to see what the costs are elsewhere if we've been going with the same vendor for 5 years? But also I did want to just bring up too, you know, I did look through the contract and everything, but just for my own understanding, because I think when we did that reassessment that you were mentioning, I feel like one of the discussion points we had is we hadn't had a real reassessment in a long time. And I believe we were past the due date of what we should have been doing for the reassessment. So what have we been using this group for outside of that reassessment that we did?
Okay, first of all, that was a property assessment that we have to do periodically based upon what our assessment ratio is. This is an annual maintenance contract. This is for handling the annual board of review, you know, dealing with changes that come up from sales of homes, you know, and those kind of things where you get out and make inspections. And it's the annual, I think maintenance is the best word. That's what it even says on the contract. As far as bidding it out, we have bid it out while Steve Shepro and his team from Forward has been with us. And the cost that we saw from the proposals we got, I think there were only 2 others, were much higher. And I guess we felt that they were providing good service, and they do also Wisconsin Rapids and Stevens Point. But again, I mean, if you feel led to do that, we can certainly do that. I just felt it was kind of an extension of the last couple of years since we last bid it out. But you're right. I mean, technically that's not correct.
Any other comments, questions? And Alderman Varsho, are you okay with your motion that you made? Alderman Tompkins?
So I'm wondering if when we are currently working on a procurement, I'm going to say it wrong, policy, you know, there is an element of if you bid something every single year, you know, it just takes a lot of staff time and things like that. So is it possible to say, you know, if we bid something and we like the services, we can use this person for 3 years and then we need to rebid it, like have a time frame just to save time and be efficient, but at the same time also giving us a chance to say what's out there for us.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Or the next time around, you can make it a longer than one year, you know, thing. You can word that any way you want to, actually. You know, and I get it, and you're right. I mean, it seems counterproductive to rebid the same service, you know, every year, especially if you're not getting proposals that seem competitive.
Yeah, I'll come back to the question again, Alderman Varsho. Your motion is?
Yeah, to proceed.
Stands?
To proceed with the contract for the 1-year renewal.
And Alderman Giles is a second?
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Werman?
No.
Mr. Rigel?
No.
No, it's not a two,
Okay,
it's not.
that motion passes. Thank you. Item Q, request to approve dates/times for 2 special council meetings on the 2025 through 2030 Capital Improvement Plan, CIP, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, normally we get to the capital improvement plan meetings a little bit earlier than we did, probably a month. We're probably running a month behind, but we're ready to meet with you and go through the 5-year larger projects, capital and other major purchases. And we're proposing, like we have in the past, 2 dates where we walk through all the projects with the council. Usually it doesn't take the entire second meeting night, and you can do a lot of Q&A, and then ultimately you'll vote at a regular meeting on approving the plan. And again, this is all the larger projects and how to fund them, whether that be from tax levy or borrowing or room tax monies or grants or whatever, what the package looks like. And it's our second most important financial document of the year. The most important one is a budget. That's a firm numbers. That's why we have to have budget amendments when you decide to change how it works. But this is more of a fluid document. You'll see the plan changes from year to year. Streets may move up or back in terms of the pecking order based upon how well they're wearing and what other needs are. But anyway, we're recommending that those 2 meetings be on Thursdays, July 17th and July 31st at 6 p.m., both expected to be no more than 2 hours. And I'd be looking for approval if they work in your schedule.
We have a motion by Alderman Tompkins, second by Alderman Delis. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
I won't be able to attend that 17th because I'm going to be at a state convention in La Crosse. Or I'm in Green Bay, and I'm there from Wednesday to Sunday.
We could try to do them back-to-back weeks and do them on the 24th and 31st. Oh, I'm sorry.
His comment.
Sorry.
I didn't even see it pop up. Yeah. Wasn't my
I
fault.
apologize.
Okay, all those in favor? Please vote.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Aye.
That motion passes. Item R, request to approve 2026 budget calendar presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a time where I'd like to get the council locked into the budget meetings so that you have them on your calendar as we get closer and closer to October. It'll be here before we know it. This year we get a little bit of a break. Oftentimes we have a schedule issue because the League of Wisconsin Municipalities has their annual conference in the fall. Many of you like to take that conference in, and I would encourage all of you to consider it. If you haven't been there before, it's a great 3-day training session, and you get to interact and network with other municipal officials. But this year they moved it up to September. Maybe they heard municipalities talking about the fact it does interfere with their budget process otherwise. It'll be in Milwaukee from the 17th to the 19th of September. So as a result, you look at the calendar that we put out there, it's a series of 4 meetings during the month of October, 1 per week. You see the dates there, and we would look for your approval of that budget calendar if you find it to be acceptable.
Motion by Alderman Delis, second by Alderman Giles. Any questions, comments? Alderman Werman?
Thank you. I know some of us have some tumultuous schedules. I know Mr. Rigel, Ms. Spiros, and myself often wind up on Zoom for a lot of these just due to our jobs or various other things going on in our lives. I just want to check, is there going to be flexibility on some of this? Because I know that I'll be launching some sites for my job as we get closer into September and October. A lot of it's kind of up in the air right now. So I'm okay passing this tonight and then just, I'm hoping that there will be some flexibility as we get closer to some of these dates that maybe we're able to move things around a little bit if it's not going to work for some of us. Obviously, not just myself, but I'm thinking if there's flexibility across the team, maybe that's a possibility.
Thank you, Derek. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you. Item S, suggested items for further agendas. Alderman Tompkins?
Okay, so we have I think it was a 2022 to 2025 strategic plan, and it had some measurable things on it. And it would be awesome if we could have a report on that plan before we start our new strategic plan. And I'm just looking for who's responsible for this measurable and how much completion have we done? So just so that we know where we're starting from when we go into those sessions.
Any other council members? Seeing none, item T, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statute, chapter 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Letter of intent related to the development project of TIF District number 13, and an exclusive right to negotiate with Weinbrenner Development Project. And we have a motion by Alderman Delis, second by Alderman Varsho. Please vote to go into closed session. No.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Rigel?
Yep.
Aye.
We're in closed session. We'll take 5